Today is Sunday, November 27th, and I'm here with Alora Skustad in her home, and she has a very interesting story about her faith from the very beginning of her life. So, Laura, would you share that with us?
Yeah. So ever since I was little, I started out having some issues when I was born, having stroke, and just all that happening. My parents, when I was starting to grow up, they always told me that God had a plan for me. And at that time, I didn't really know what that meant. I'm like, yeah, sure. And then when I started growing up, I'm like, yeah, why was I one of the ones who survived a stroke? Why was I one of the ones?
Because the odds of surviving were slim.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, God had a plan for me. I'm like, what plan was that? I'm like, I can't really discover that plan yet. I'm only like 6 years old. So I was starting to think, and I kept that in mind, like, I think about that like at least once a week. And when years started passing, I'm like, I love to protect people. I like to defend others who can't. And I love to make people laugh. And I'm like, maybe that's my plan. Maybe He wanted me to put smiles on people's faces by the actions I do. For example, like when I go to school, I like to make people laugh when they're feeling down or discouraged. I'm like, you can always be happy when you're angry. There's always a little teensy bit of you that you're happy about. Like, I'm happy to join Mr. Holtz in this project he's doing right now. That's one of the things I'm happy about right now. And so I'm like, people were telling me, thank you, Alora, for inspiring me or making my day better. And at that point, I'm like, yeah, you're welcome, And then I always think back on the events that occur daily, and I'm like, maybe that has something to do in determining what God planned for me.
Laura, you are active in the church in a lot of things. You're active in youth group, you're an acolyte, your family is active in all kinds of things. And another way that you're active, and your whole family is active, is in Family Promise. And you're there every time we host. You are there with your mom, working with the kids and reading to them, playing games with them. But the last time, about a month or so ago, a family was there, and there was a young girl who went to high school with you. And she was really nervous about when she found out that you were there, because she knew you from high school. And she was worried that word would get out that she was homeless. Mm-hmm. Talk about how you dealt with that.
I dealt with it slowly and steadily, because most people are afraid to come out with, whenever people hear the word homeless, they're like, oh, so you live on the streets, or, you need help, or they just think of that certain person differently in like a different viewpoint. And I think both of us dealt with it, I was trying to comfort her during these hard times, and I just wanted her to know that I was there for her. Whatever she needed, I was always there. Even if she needed something I couldn't do, I would try to make one step ahead for that goal to happen. And I would never, ever share her secret or whatever, because to have that trust in a person who could trust you with a secret like that means a lot. And why would you, share that with people that, she doesn't even know or is like comfortable around, And I just feel very happy that she felt comfortable with me knowing one of her secrets. And we just dealt slowly, and she acts normal around me because she knows that nothing's going to change between us, even if anything did happen beyond that point.
Yeah, that trust really shows your values, Alora. Do you think many kids at your school know that you're pretty involved in the church?
Some of my close friends do know. It's not like something I not necessarily brag about, but it's not a normal conversation starter, you know? It's just something that's kind of like not a side thing, but it's not like basketball. Like, hey, how's that basketball game? Yeah, sure. You know, it's like kind of that point where if we're talking about church, yeah, I talk about, oh, you know, I love helping others within the church community or that kind of situation. But, you know, it's being a teenager, that's not what you necessarily talk about. But I love sharing that information with people that do bring up the certain areas.
Do you think your faith and your involvement with the church make you different than other kids? You're a high school freshman, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it makes you different from other kids, that they see it in your gentleness or your... Do you think you are different than other kids?
I wouldn't necessarily say I'm different. I'm just a normal kid like they are, but showing through attitude, some may say that I do, because church just brings out part of you that you could express, or, you know, you could pray at church. You know, you're not judged. You know, and a lot of people, I know some people that their home life, they can't express their feelings, or they will be judged. I feel like a bunch of people close out during school, knowing that they can't express those feelings, and usually they don't go to church either. So I like to spread the word to them, saying, you know, you're always comfortable going to a church, you know, no one judges you there, you know, and they're like, oh, thank you, and then they start opening up about themselves. They feel more aware of what people, you know, that go to church feel like.
Well, we're almost out of time, Alora, but I do want to ask you one last thing. You and your family are very special at Emanuel. Do you realize how important you are to our church? Do you have a sense of that?
I'm not sure. I really don't know. Maybe being around certain people, like if you're out sick for like 2 weeks and you skip like 2 Sundays, people are like, oh, where were you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, where were you? Are you okay? And it just expresses a lot of emotional care that, you know, yeah, maybe I do mean something to this church. You know, they care. It's like a whole family. It's a big family that is unforgettable, and that you know that they're there for you. So it's pretty nice. Well,
you have always had a smile that just lights up the church, and when you acolyte, that's a wonderful gift. And
thank you.
I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Thank you also for your interview, Alora. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. No problem.